Welcome to Between State Lines.
Welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 36. We are a full-term baby at this point. I mean, right? That's 36 is like the safe week or whatever.
We're older than me at this point.
I cannot believe we've gone essentially 9 months. That is freaking wild.
That is wild. It has been 9 months.
9 months. And like 4 or 5 of you guys, you fans, are like loyal listeners because somebody has been hopping on every release day and immediately listening to it.
I love
I don't know
that.
who it is, but we have someone, you know.
If you're one of my friends, reach out. We'll get you a bumper sticker.
We're still friends.
Well, a couple of my friends said, I've been listening to your podcast because I miss you so much.
Well,
And
hello to that friend.
hi, Ashley.
um, Speaking of babies, after last week's episode, that glorious, beautiful jam, and guys, I recall Steph saying she was wondering if which baby's jam would taste better. Okay, I
That's,
recall those words.
that is not how I said it. I just said, how can you gamble on that if you don't know that it's going to taste the same? It just seems like that's a big gamble.
You know, it's pretty close. um, But so after last week's episode, I found there is of I don't know how this got created, but someone created a villain Wikipedia page for Mark, the main character of that story, and so it has like a little like breakdown of like who the character is, and it says they charged him like in this article with cannibalism, abuse, murder, and rape. So people who read the story have, I'm guessing there's no like part two. It's like, I guess, a fanfic of like what happens afterwards. They have dreamt the scenario up where he carries on the legacy of Miss Wilson and continues to make babies and jam.
So that's where the rape comes from? Because I was like, okay, a lot of these make sense with the story so far. But that got, yeah, I don't know. That was terrible. That was,
Yeah. I, I don't know. Like I said before, I feel like you could have, even though you're not sure if they would taste the same, you could still, I'm sure, break into a hospital and find like some fetuses in the toxic waste if you really wanted to.
don't you think that, like, I don't know, that lady's level of um, sanity might affect the flavor?
That is true. It definitely has like yeah, I think you're right. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. I can't get too graphic 'cause it just gets so gruesome so fast.
Yes, it does. So great story, but a lot of shit happened this week, not just in our personal lives, but did you see that Trump made an AI video of Gaza, calling it Trump Gaza, and like features a golden statue of him, Elon Musk throwing money in the air on the beach, and an AI Trump dancing with someone who does not look anything remotely like Melania.
Somehow I missed this one.
It
Um, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. There's so many things in there that don't make any sense. Did you know that where Melania is from, they have a big statue of her in Slovenia?
Really?
Yeah, I want to know if they have a big statue of him too, because that would be really weird. But I can't imagine that he'd let there be a statue of her without him. And I can't imagine how she got a statue. But I had a friend that lived over there during COVID, and she said that there's a giant statue of her.
crazy. And I bet if they have one of him, it's just like Chester Cheeto, the
Oh, it is just a wooden statue of her. They put it in 2019, so just before COVID.
That's
Oh,
wild.
never mind. It was torched on the 4th of July in 2020 and removed soon after.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good. An ending fit for a king right there. Or
Oh,
queen, I guess.
yeah. But then a metal one replaced it a few months later.
Oh my god. Like, you can't burn this so easily.
Yeah, it said a new bronze statue took the place near her hometown in Slovenia. Wow.
How is Trump allowing that to happen without him being featured in there? That makes no sense.
Maybe it's because they've been working on the bigger statue of him made of gold, because apparently that's what his statues are made of.
Bigger
And also,
and
how creative. Trump Gaza?
yeah, I'm gonna find it and send it to you on TikTok. It's honestly it's one of the worst AI videos I've seen ever, and it's just so cringy, and it's so fucking weird. But I mean, it seems like something he would do though, and I bet his believers, his believers, his followers believe that it's gonna happen. Also, like there's this whole trend on TikTok where a bunch of maggots saw an AI video of Trump putting a 200-foot Jesus statue at the White House. It's it's fake, it's made up, it doesn't even look remotely real, but they've been, like, reposting the video, stitching it as if it's, like, a real thing.
Wow. It doesn't surprise me one bit, but also, why do they think that he would do that and not put a giant statue of himself, especially with the things that he has been posting? Am I right? I feel like I'm right here.
That it's just crazy, like, they follow this guy who is I mean, when I was a Christian, I believed you're not supposed to worship idols, and, like, there's this guy who is clearly obsessed with himself and making idols of himself. And somehow Christians have made this guy their leader.
I mean, he's not the one with the power, so I guess, yeah, he's just soaking up the attention whatever way he can put his face on anything. Yeah, I don't understand. When I was Christian, that you know what, nothing that I believed to be true when I was Christian is true of Christianity anymore. I think it's supposed to be like love thy neighbor and like treat other people how you want to be treated, and it was just like very go out and do good in the world. I remember being a little kid and being asked, why don't we do bad things? And I thought I was being funny. So I was like, or they were like, when's it okay to do bad things or something like that? And it was like, when nobody's going to catch you, like when you're not going to get caught. And they're like, meh. And I got in so much trouble. But it does seem that as long as nobody can hold you accountable, that's the real, like,
Yeah,
when you can do bad things.
as long as you get away with it, you're fine. You are fine.
Yeah,
It's not a sin.
yeah. As long as Trump deems it okay, we're all going to heaven, apparently.
Apparently, some of us maybe sooner rather than later, considering that there is a measles outbreak going on, which is fucking wild in 2025.
That is wild. I haven't heard a lot about that. I wonder why.
It's so funny to me that like RFK Jr. He was at a press conference this week about the whole outbreak, and he was like, "It's happened in previous years. Yes, it has, but we have 164 cases this year in 3 months. Not even 3 months, 2.5 months,
Well,
and
and
there
did
was
the child just die?
a child just died for the first time I think in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like,
An
we had,
unvaccinated child in Texas.
yeah, and like we had 285 cases all of last year and 164 in 2 months this year. Like, that is insane. Like, something is got to give, but with RFK, I'm sure it'll get worse.
Yeah, I don't know. My family has always been all about the vaccines because I had my grandma's brother was too small to get the whooping cough vaccine, and he ended up getting it, and it ruined his life. He ended up passing, I think, around 30. And this happened when he was like 2, but he was actually one of the people that had to go live somewhere else because they couldn't take care of him.
Hey, hold on one second. I gotta get her pacifier.
Yeah, no
BRB.
problem. He's getting the pacifier. We're going to open up some gummy worms. Crawler minis. I got these for Valentine's Day, and I forgot. And so I found them in my trunk. And now they're mine because it's past Valentine's Day. I do share with my kids, but not too much because they're kids. I'm an adult. My teeth are already ruined. Cheers.
I have returned.
We had a sour bright crawler break.
Very nice. Very nice. You and your sour candy.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying really hard not to eat as much sour candy, but I bought this for Valentine's Day and I forgot about it, and I found it in my trunk like a week ago. These are mine now.
Oh, so also, the flu vaccine this year coming up might not be available at all
Wait,
because
the one right now?
no, for the next season, so they're
Okay.
2025 to 2026, because the CDC, they have a meeting every year to like decide what like strains to target, and they canceled it this like yesterday, and aren't planning to do one this year. So
So,
no flu vaccine.
yeah, either that or they're just gonna like roll a dice, I guess.
I just I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. It makes no sense. Why?
It doesn't make any sense, and I don't understand. Like before, it was all like big pharma. Big pharma's trying to make all this money. That's why they want to push vaccines. Vaccines are bad. Blah 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 blah. And now big pharma's just like rolling over, and they're like, don't need it.
And yet they
Like
accuse Bernie Sanders of taking millions and billions of dollars from big pharma.
Bernie Sanders, I feel like that guy is just a saint and cannot do any wrong.
Yeah, he is one of the most weirdly hated guys because they think he's a communist, but they don't know what communism is. So
Yeah, that's wild to me. I don't know. I understand he was not Democrat, Republican. Like, was he gonna win? I think he would have if people would have actually voted for him and gave him a chance. If the Harambe wouldn't have happened, maybe we would have had a chance. Or people weren't voting for Taylor Swift or whatever it was.
or Kanye. I think some people voted for Kanye too. So stupid.
Yeah, we both know there wasn't a ton of those. It was mostly just Kanye voted for Kanye.
Kanye and his gang voted for Kanye.
Yeah. Like, also, I think I'm gonna do the rest of this with this Pokemon hat on.
Oh yeah, Pikachu. Pikachu is my favorite growing up. My favorite Pokemon.
Mine's Snorlax. I love Snorlax.
What?
Just fall asleep anywhere. He's
Your
adorable.
your spirit animal is Snorlax.
Yeah. I love him.
Just napping all over. So there's an actor that died this week, Gene Hackman. Have you heard about that?
Yes. Yes, I did. The circumstances seem very mysterious. But
Yep.
all I could think of the whole time was his role in Heartbreakers, which is an awful role for him, but he did play it very well.
The only one I remember him in, at least what was memorable to me, was when he played Lex Luthor in Superman. That was the only one I could like recall off the top of my head.
I don't know that I've seen that one, but I've
It's,
seen
I think it's from
Heartbreak a billion
the
times. Sigourney
it's from the
Weaver,
80s, so
Jennifer Love Hewitt, that guy with the piercing blue eyes who also did just pass away not that long ago too.
you know, I think Heath Ledger was the most tragic of my celebrity deaths. Right. Well, I guess him and Robin Williams, but Heath Ledger, because he just did the Joker and like did such an amazing job, and then obviously before it came out died.
Ray Liotta, that was his name.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, he's in that movie too. I loved him in there. I don't know. Mac Miller kind of messed me up. Robin Williams definitely messed me up. I don't know. There's been a few.
Mac Miller. So for our listeners, Gene Hackman and his wife and one of their dogs died. They were found dead in their house this week. So weirdly, his wife was found in the bathroom, surrounded by like pills all over the floor. They haven't specified what pills those were, but they did say they found like thyroid medicine, blood pressure meds, and Tylenol. But again, did not say if those were the pills that were around her body. 10 to 15 feet away from her, one of their dogs died, locked in a crate, which probably makes sense to me because if they both died, they didn't eat for a week or more, so it died of that. But Gene was found in a separate room, their mud room, face down, dead, with his cane next to him. And the police today said that his pacemaker stopped working 9 days before their bodies were found. So that's roughly the time of death for him. But like, no carbon monoxide poisoning, no gas was found there. It's like, what? Like, if he died of his heart stopping, whatever. How did she die? It was like, did she get have shock and like faint?
I don't even know. That's wild. Like, I was wondering, I heard that there was like a pill bottle by her. I didn't hear about all the pills. When she said that, I was like, is that how the dog died? But being locked in the crate makes sense. Um, yeah, I didn't hear this many details. I just don't understand if that happened and he died. Was she like stressed out trying to find anxiety meds or something and then took something else and then died? It seems
I
like foul play, honestly.
Yeah, I wonder if again that we have no information on like how she died, but my thought goes to like maybe she was running to get his medicine and then maybe she slipped. It was in the bathroom, so she slipped and fell, hit her head. That's given if there's a head wound, that would make sense. Um, but like that would make the most sense to me. She ran to get his medicine, slipped, fell, hit her head, and she died. And obviously he was already dead at that point. And the dog died on being locked in the crate. But I saw that story and I was like, this is so weird.
That
What a
is so
weird way to die.
weird that they both died. Like to have two,
Also,
yeah, and nobody knows. I don't know. It feels like it has to happen around the same time.
Gene, R.I.P. But you were 94, bro, 95, and she was 62. That's a huge age difference. I don't know if that. What did you have in common? I don't. Rest in peace. But what did you have? What did you have in common?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Heartbreakers, he looked old as shit. So I'm like, in that movie, they're just waiting for him to die.
What year was that? Heartbreakers.
It had to have been like early 2000s. Hold on. I got this. 2001.
Okay, so he was 70. Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also like a um owner of a cigarette company in that movie. But man, he seemed like he's gonna keel over any moment then. I was kind of surprised. Plus, I was surprised that that same guy from that movie is Gene Hackman. Like, I've heard that name my whole life, but I guess I didn't know who it was. But yes, rest in peace. Thank you
Yeah,
for her.
He looked so different when he got older. I was like, I don't recognize you. I mean, granted, I really only saw movies of him when I was like, 8, 9 years old. But like visually, I picture him as like the younger version and not this old guy who looked completely different. So I had no idea he was 95 until he died this week. I was like, damn, he got. Also, did you see that like a biotech company in California just released, or they're in the process of releasing? I think it got approved by the FDA, an anti-aging pill for dogs, and so it slows down their aging, and I think it like makes them less susceptible to diseases that kill them quickly, so they live longer. Um, but somebody commented on the article. They were like, "Can we apply this to humans?" And I was like, "Please, no.
Yeah,
I don't want to live to 150."
I'm already kind of tired of this place. 35.
This is my request to you, anyone who's okay. I mean, not anyone, but like people I know. If I am 100 years old, please put a pillow on my face. I don't want to live that old. Like, I'll be tired. I'll be done. Like, I ain't
I'm
gonna be doing this
already
podcast in
tired.
70 years.
I'm already tired. I can't imagine that the dogs, like, they're not consenting to this. Why is this okay?
That's the thing. It's like that's a huge moral question because, like, yeah, you want your best friend. I mean, your best dog friend to live longer, but like, at what expense? Because if they're gonna live a longer life, but not as happy because they might not die, but still be kind of like miserable towards the end, like that's not fair to them.
It's not. Like, I understand that we don't like feeling the pain of losing them, but will it change the species itself from experiencing the pain of losing us over and over and over again?
I
It
feel like
changes so that 1 year for us was it 7 years for them. It changes so 1 year for them is 7 years for us.
I feel like also I don't know, if you live not necessarily forever, but if you live a long time and your dogs live a long time, like I feel like it lessens the value of life because like the biggest thing with life is you only live one time. At least to me, you live once, so you get experience things once. And if you live forever, like that kind of cheapens the experience because you won't do things that you would do if you knew you weren't going to live forever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way that I think of it too is what are they doing to these dogs? Because when you think about like biology and the way cells work, like what exactly is this really doing?
I think it's the first step to the zombie apocalypse. The dogs are going to take the medicine, and then someone's going to give the medicine to humans, like just to try it. And that human will turn into a zombie, and then bam, there we go.
That thing that my biology teacher told me in college, where if you live long enough, you're going to get cancer because cancer is just when cells don't get told to go through apoptosis and they either grow too big or there's something wrong with them and then they're splitting off and it spreads. So what are they doing to the dogs that are preventing them from getting normal dog diseases? Will this mean that they won't get those, but like you can't ultimately stop they're going to get like cancer, right? I
I
have a
guess
lot.
I guess in theory, what I was reading is that like the medicine slows down the cellular decay rate. I guess so they
I was
might still get cancer,
this
but
are just gonna go really slow.
yeah, so they'll get cancer, and it'll probably be a longer bout of cancer. At least that's the way I see it.
Or what if it just makes it so that we don't detect their pain until they've been experiencing it for a really long time? Do you really love your dog?
Right? Right? There's so many questions, and Like it's a and as an idea, it's cool, but like in practice and morally, it's very, very it's a very gray area.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions. It seems, I don't know. It seems kind of messed up to me. But I don't know. I need to know more about this medicine and how much they actually know about it and how much of this is like we're just guessing and we're experimenting on dogs.
It's America, you know. That's what they do.
I mean, we really don't give a shit. So
We really don't give a shit. We had a few people on TikTok share their favorite poor meals after I posted the video about you and I reminiscing over strawberries and sugar. Um, One person said that they used to dip their fingers in the Kool-Aid mixes, um, and like eat that as like a sweet treat. Um,
first of all, not a sweet treat because you didn't add the sugar, unless it was one of the bigger ones that
I thought
already had the sugar added. Then, I've done this too, because it's kind of like the um, oh, what are those called?
the
Fun
pixie
dip.
dust. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, like fun dips, except for they're using their fingers, which is a little bit meh. But teach
Wait,
their own.
so I am I just remembering this wrong? I thought the Kool-Aid had sugar in it, but no.
Not the regular like small packets, but like the big container. I think does. Because the regular packets you have to add the sugar because we still buy those and we just make gallons of just Kool-Aid with no sugar, and me and my uncle like it. My kids think it's the most disgusting thing ever, and then even if I add something like one of the like Mio things to try to give it a little bit of sweetener, they're like, pass, I'd rather have water. Like, okay, cool.
My nephew loves those Mio. Well, they all love Mios down my in-laws, and we were there one time visiting, and his dad was like, "Only use 2 squirts because, you know, it tastes really strong." And I watched this kid, like, squeeze, I'm pretty sure, like, the entire bottle into this, like, tiny, like, bottle this big of water, and I'm like, "I know it's gonna be horrible." So he puts the lid on, walks over to the couch, takes a sip, and he's like, "Oh, this is gross." I'm like, "I told you, your dad told you that not to do that." It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
I am the regulator. My daughter would do that, and then she would hate it. But yeah, she would do that. She would like the syrup bottle. I'm like, it doesn't even have to be a solid like, and 2 squirts is kind of a lot too. Like one small one, pretty good, especially the size cups we use, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I it's Mio to me is okay. I'm not a huge fan, but yeah, I totally get the regulation there.
Yeah, yeah. We have limited space. I have zero fridge space at my mom's house, so that's how I get something other than water. And sometimes we run out of water because my uncle drinks it all. I actually start bringing like big thermoses to work so I can fill my waters and
Is
then
that
bring
what
it
is that
home.
is wait, hold on. Is that other one like one of those hospital ones you get when you give
Yeah.
birth?
Yes. So this one is not my original. My original was thrown away, I think. And it devastated me. And so somebody gave me this 28-ounce one. It's bullshit. It is not big enough. The original one was like 32 to 40, something like that. It's pretty awesome. But this one is just too skinny, but then also doesn't fit in a cup holder. But I like how it has the line, so I do use it. Even though it's not my favorite.
That is pretty dope. Um, Another commenter said that their sister put syrup on or used to put syrup on sandwich bread and called it a pancake.
So the original, what are those called? McGriddles. Like this is like the original griddle.
I never got into the McGriddles. It was one of the worst sandwiches that do they still have it, McDonald's? I haven't been there in a while.
I think so. The I I hated them when they first came out and everything, but when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was down with them.
See, I when I grew up thinking I couldn't have eggs, I never had eggs, so I always had the like plain sausage biscuit, like the saddest sandwich, just
That is,
sausage on a biscuit.
and the biscuit's dry as hell.
Oh yeah. So when I had an egg McMuffin or an egg sausage and cheese biscuit at McDonald's, I was like, damn, I have missed out my entire life on this delicious sandwich.
Yeah, I think that the McGriddle just not with the egg. I don't know. I'm okay with the egg sometimes, but not on the McGriddle. Just a sausage with the pancake is fine. I haven't had it in a really long time because really the only thing that you need from McDonald's breakfast is hash browns,
Oh
and
yeah.
now they're not $1 anymore. The last time I checked, they were like at least $2, and that's a pass for me. I can air fry a hash brown at home by myself.
They used to have like back when I had their app, they used to have like an offer. You get like a freaking hash brown free with a breakfast sandwich, and of course, the sandwich is like $5 now, so it's like essentially $2.50 for a hash brown. But at least it was something.
Nope, nope, I won't do it. Although I don't, yeah, I don't normally get McDonald's breakfast. I do have the app though for Happy Meal's sake. Every once
Yeah,
in a while, I gotta get a Happy Meal.
that is fair. Um, so I figured we would. I don't know if you have any that you recall from your childhood, but I figured we would reminisce on a couple that we've had growing up. And my first one was we'd have stuffed peppers, like pepper stuffed with cheese and rice and like ground beef. But because we didn't like peppers, it was literally a plate with rice and ground beef topped with melted American cheese slices.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that
Also,
was
I
dinner.
understand the hatred of peppers. I like them better as an adult, but I didn't even try them as a kid. I just hated them in my 20s. Yeah. Oh God, what was another I feel like my mom made just so very little. Spaghetti was a big one for us. That was like one of the good meals, and my grandpa would work on it all day long. But like buttered noodles, I yeah, waiting for that spaghetti to be done, I'd be like, I'm so hungry, and they'd give me buttered noodles, and that was like my little treat.
See, we ate spaghetti growing up, but we didn't like make sauce homemade. It was literally just either like the Hunt's like canned sauce or like ragu. And then, like, on the side, we had I guess you call it, like, fake Parmesan cheese, the powdered Parmesan cheese. Um, and instead of, like, white bread or, like, Italian bread, we'd have, like, a a loaf of bread and would just, like, butter slices and use that.
Yes, we had the bread and butter, and then spaghetti. It was made all day if my grandparents made it, and they made like a giant pot of it. But if it's my mom frequently talks about like, oh, I'm gonna make dinner tonight, and if it's not in the crock pot, it is exactly how you described it. Like it's like a jar of something. Like there's one time that I was like, oh, if you haven't started making dinner yet, like it's fine. Maybe we can go get something or something because it's gonna take too long. And she was just like, I just have to open the jar. I was like, then you're not making dinner. You're heating it up.
E Every now and then, I will crave I will crave ragu out of a jar. I know it's not official, it's not, like, quality. But every now and then I'm like, "Man, I wish I had some ragu." And I would also, like, not only have the Parmesan cheese, I would, like, freaking, like, stack that thing full of, Parmesan cheese.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it gave it a texture we would use so much. And yeah, that's something that we have on hand for like a quick dinner, especially for the kids, because they they've come around with some meat stuff, but this gave us something to make quick that they can't be like, "What's that? I'm not gonna eat that." Oh,
Um,
another good one. When you do like a piece of toast and you put like butter, and we would do like cream cheese and cinnamon sugar.
Ooh, yes, yes. I loved that. I didn't do the cream cheese. I would do butter with the cinnamon.
We did that a lot growing up, but then I don't know how we morphed in the cream cheese, but that happened like late middle school, I think. Same with oh god, this is gonna sound bad. Top ramen burritos. Did I tell you about top ramen burritos?
No, please do.
So I got introduced to top ramen way late in life. Like it was like middle school, high school. I don't remember what we ate when we lived in San Diego. Probably nothing. But you would take hot water and you'd run it for a minute, and then you'd put your little bag of crushed up top ramen. You'd literally make it in the bag, so one side would be open, put the hot water in it, let it sit for a minute, drain the water, roll it, put a paper towel around it, put it in the microwave for 1 minute. Top ramen burrito. And then I heard that I had friends from Arkansas, and they said that they would do the same thing, but in like bags of chips. So then the bag, like the chips, would be all up in the top ramen burrito.
Not gonna lie, the burrito sounds kind of good.
I mean, it was a delicacy to us 13-year-olds.
I had top ramen growing up, but I always called it. I don't know where we got this name from. I called it oodles of noodles. I don't know where that name came from, but that's what I called it growing up.
We had cup of noodles growing up, so but I think that's what I like really grew up with. And then I moved to Oregon, and everybody was like top ramen, and the top ramen burrito was my first experience. And then after that, we would add cheese to top ramen. And then at one point, we would add eggs to the cooking top ramen. So we had many different varieties and flavors. But that's back when top ramen was like 10 cents.
Now it's like 50 cents.
Yeah, I was like at least a quarter probably.
um, so we did have a lot of people comment about cabbage, by the way. And every one of you, by the way, are incorrect. You're wrong. This is one person was right. One person said they agree with me, but everyone else was on your side. One person said cabbage is good in every single way, raw, cooked, or fermented. Cabbage is the opposite of floppy. That is a no. I would invite you to my house for corned beef and cabbage and see how floppy that shit is.
You're making it wrong. Um no, if you compare cabbage to lettuce, lettuce is the floppy one. You're wrong.
Lettuce is the thinner floppy.
Lettuce is the floppy one. You can make cabbage kind of flop, but it's thicker. Like it's not meant to do that. It's meant to accentuate the flavors and be wonderful. Especially
Make
with corned beef and cabbage, I think it's supposed to be like really tender.
make cabbage not floppy again, and I'll eat it.
I'm like, how can I solidify cabbage? Can I fry it? Will that make it not floppy?
What you could do is when we come visit in May, you can have a cabbage meal prepared. Bring it to me,
This is how
and
we welcome you to Oregon. Here's my cabbage.
it's the Stephanie delicacy, and then maybe I'll change my mind on cabbage. But until then, all you commenters, keep commenting, but you're wrong. You are wrong.
Keep commenting, but just keep telling Holden he's wrong.
So, today I figured we'd talk about some urban legends that are pretty creepy. So they're stories that are not necessarily true. They may have some truth to it, but they're just pretty creepy nonetheless. And I feel like a lot of these stories are like something happened and then someone took it and was like, all right, I want to make it a little bit worse. So there's a lot of truth to these stories, but maybe not as drastic.
Okay. Locking my doors.
Yeah. The first one is called "Footprints in the Sand." Footprints in the snow. In a chilling urban legend, a teenage girl was home alone with her younger sister while their parents were out for the evening. After watching some television together, the younger sister went to bed and the teen returned downstairs to watch more TV. Growing bored, she turned off the television and curled up under a blanket on the couch, gazing at the falling snow through the large sliding glass window in the living room. Moments later, she saw a man approaching the sliding glass doors with a menacing looking face, pulling something shiny from his coat. Terrified, she dove under her blanket for safety. After some time, she emerged, discovered the man was gone, and immediately called the police, who came pretty quickly. The officers were puzzled when they looked outside and found no footprints in the snow, which was falling heavily, but not enough that the footprints would have disappeared. And it's unlikely the guy would have like gone back and covered his prints that quickly. But as they examined the home more closely, they discovered wet footprints on the carpet leading to the couch where she had been sitting. And they realized that he had been in the house the entire time and she had seen his reflection from behind her. So she was facing the window. He was behind her, coming at her, and was not outside. First of all, girl, hiding under a blanket doesn't do anything. Second of all, call the police right away.
Yeah, but that probably saved her life if he was in the house and somehow didn't get her.
I wonder
God,
why he
I
didn't
thought
get
she
her.
was dumb too, but she probably saved her own life.
Maybe he just felt bad. He's like, oh, well, I guess this girl has no survival skills, so I'm just gonna let her go.
All right, so sometimes that is the answer.
Or it was a ghost. Either or.
Ghosts don't have wet feet prints in the house.
Correction. I have been watching Supernatural, okay? They have footprints and they can touch you. So they probably could bring in wet footprints.
Fine, I'll agree with you on this one because I was also supposed to be watching Supernatural, but I took a detour, so I'll agree with you because I can't argue that one right now. And who's gonna
Um
argue Supernatural anyways?
that show is just so good. I'm on season 4 already, by the way. I'm like cruising through it. I need to slow down, but
I gave you
it's
something
such a
else
good
to
show.
watch.
I know. So I watched through episode 4. I watched an episode at lunch today, 2 last night, and 1 the previous night. So I'm like getting there. I'm a third of the way through, and I swear to God, if they kill Derek, either Derek, does Derek die? Is that why you're not saying anything?
I
Oh my
don't know. Do
God,
you want me to tell you? Yeah.
no,
Do you want me to tell you? Because I will
no.
if you really want me to tell you.
I don't know. I don't want him to die, but if he dies, I'm also gonna riot.
You know what? I'm just going to tell you. Derek doesn't die.
Okay, good, good.
Neither of them.
You had me there for a second.
Somebody
I
else might.
thought for somebody else might.
Maybe.
Oh, I would say Harrison Ford probably dies. I think that's a given because he's an old man
No.
with
Harrison
Parkinson's.
Ford hasn't died in this season.
Okay, he's really good in this show. I forgot how good he was.
He's so good. I don't know. I remembered how good that whole show was immediately and then binge watched it in a day and a half. And only because I even had it going on my drive to and from work. So I could listen to it. Like, that's how good it was. It's like, I have an hour. Let's just throw it on, put it on the speakers. I can hear everything.
It's so good. It is so good. Um, yeah, I I'm gonna finish it. I'll probably finish this weekend, and then we can talk about it. That way, I don't get spoiled or anything. But I was not
Perfect.
expecting Roy Kent. I was not expecting that at all. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I loved that. I love him. He was one of the writers for Ted Lasso. So I just feel like that guy is so dynamic.
Oh yeah. Um, okay. So the next one is called The Chilling Discovery. There are multiple versions of the story, and most of them start with a young college girl who is studying late. and thus spending all her time at the library instead of her own dorm room. During a late night of studying, she realized she had forgotten something in her room, so she made the trip back to go get it. When she opened the door, she found the room dark, but figured her roommate was asleep or out studying like her, and not wanting to disturb her in case she was asleep, she left the light off, got what she needed, and left to go back to the library. When she got back to her room that night, she found her roommate lying on the floor with a slit throat. But the worst part was that whoever killed her wrote a message on the bathroom mirror that read, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" Another version of the story, slightly different, is the woman is alone with a puppy, her dog, and she was awakened by a noise one night, reached over to touch her dog, make sure he was still there. He licked her hand and, reassured, she went back to sleep. The next morning, she woke up to find her dog hanging in the shower, and a note beside her bed read, "Humans can lick too."
Ew. And how do they know that that would reassure her? The first
What
one
if you
gave me goosebumps. The second one, I'm like, this is questionable.
what what if she didn't have a dog and you just like lick her hand? She's like, "What the fuck is going on? What the
Yeah,
fuck
why
is
would
my
someone
house?"
break into her house to go hang her dog in the shower, not touch her, except for to lick her in the middle of the night? So is this crazy person just laying in bed with her, and then she wakes up and they're like, "Oh, just I'll just pretend to be the dog." She's not going to check to see why this mass next to her is bigger than her dog.
Also, how do you not hear your dog being killed? I feel like dogs are not like quiet.
Yeah, that story's the first one feels like that's the one that if it was true and possible, that's the one. This dog one is just somebody making it worse.
Somebody's like, "Let me make it sound creepy." It's like someone's fantasy is they want to lick someone's hand. Like
And
instead
what
of breaking in.
kind of dog was this? Were they pretending that their tongue was like really tiny because it was like Chihuahua, or was it like a giant dog?
I'm so I'm guessing it was my ideal person who wrote the story is like someone who has a fantasy of like I'm gonna break into someone's house. I'm not gonna kill them or hurt them. I'm just gonna lick their hand and then leave.
And like, if your fantasy is that strange, why are you licking their hand? Like, lick their forehead or something.
Also, bro, like, and you know it's a guy first of all, but you can also, I mean, you can role play as a dog nowadays. That's a thing that people do. You can find a
Yeah,
girlfriend or a boyfriend or someone who will let you do that.
I'm positive that there are people out there that would be thrilled, would not have to kill any dogs. Such a
This this next one is the gas station attendant. I think I've heard this one before, a different variation of it, but it's kind of similar. It was late, and a young woman. It's always a young woman of some kind. Of course, they're always targeting females like
well,
creepers.
why is a young woman working at the gas station by herself late?
So she's not working. She's actually driving through the area deep in the country. Her car was old and unreliable, and as soon as she realized that she'd have to stop for gas, um, she did. And as luck would have it, she came across an old gas station a little farther down the road. It was an old gas station, um, the kind with the attendant who comes out to pump your gas, and something about it set the alarm bells ringing in her head. But she knew she couldn't get much farther without refueling, so she reluctantly pulled into the gas station and asked him to fill up her gas. The attendant seemed nervous, but eventually finished the job and came over to the driver's side to get payment. She gave him a $20 bill, and he examined it carefully, then told her it was counterfeit. At this point, her alarm bells are going off, but she still followed him into the store because he had to call his manager because the counterfeit would have to be reported to the bank. Once he had convinced her to come with him, he explained that the bill was not actually counterfeit. He'd gotten her out of the car because there was a man with a hatchet hiding in the back seat. The funniest part of the story is like imagine you're the guy with the hatchet just laying in the back seat and like you just make eye contact with the gas attendant.
This reminds me of those like send this to 100 of your closest friends, or the guy with the hatchet will be in your backseat. Check. Also, I almost parked at a gas station. Really thankful I didn't do that. Do have to get gas after this, though. I would not be following anybody into any gas station. He's sketchy as hell, but yeah, I'd be hacked up and with the hatchet for sure.
Yeah, I feel like this story has some truth to it because I feel like that's something that could happen. Maybe not like being so lucky as to have someone and like see him, but like someone could climb in your back seat. I always check my car, even though I park in the garage. I'm like, is anyone back here? No. Okay, cool. We'll go.
I've had people at the bar that I work at go into their cars and somebody's sleeping in it.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
it's never
new.
happened to me. I lock my doors. But yeah, I I don't know. That's a no for me. No thank you to hatchet guys. Also, that reminds me of that um legend where somebody's hiding under the car and they like slash your Achilles heel. It's like watch out for that. I was really scared of that when I was a kid before I ever had a license or anything like that.
I always hear like I always see like stories, and it's always like the local news reporting something stupid, like some urban legend that has never been proven to be real. But like it's the ones that are like, oh, if you see a water bottle on your car or like a slice of cheese, like don't remove it. I'm like, why? If you touch it, they'll know that you came to your car. I'm like,
Well,
what?
the thing that I've heard is that don't touch it because they could have put fentanyl on it.
mm,
That was
interesting.
the newer version. But yeah, it was like rubber bands and stuff back in the day. And honestly, I think it's just somebody who was littering.
Right?
Yeah, or a prankster, like people who would like freeze hot dogs and put them underneath people's handles and saran wrap their car or whatever.
The unrelated to this, but kind of like it's kind of littering, not really though. My daughter had this like fruit strip, like organic fruit strip, and it's kind of like a brick of like dates and stuff. And she eats half it every morning, and then I usually throw it away. But I forgot one for like a week or so in the car, and I found it the other day, and I was pulling her out of the back seat, and I had this fruit strip or fruit bar, and I like just chuck it into the ravine across the street, and just so happens, a car came flying by at the same time I threw it, and they slammed into it, it hit their windshield, and I was like, "All right, let's go." Close the garage.
Good luck getting that fruit strip off. It's extra sticky now too. How did you throw it?
I got like a pitcher, found up and like chucked it. I was like, "What are the odds that he would come at that moment, and I would throw it at my moment, and he would hit it head on, like bam? What are the odds?
Couldn't have done
Very
that if
low.
I tried.
Nope.
Could not have done it if I tried.
No, no, no. Okay, so this next one is called The Crying Baby. So late one night, a woman was browsing the internet. Again, it's always a woman, it's never a man in these stories. The men are always the bad guys, so choose the bear. Um, she was browsing the World Wide Web in her suburban home when she was startled by the sound of a baby crying outside her door. She peered through the keyhole but couldn't see anything. The sound of a baby crying at her doorstep at such a late hour was unsettling, and unsure what to do, she called the police. She explained to the dispatcher that she was worried about the baby's safety and was contemplating opening the door to check on it, but um, the dispatcher advised her not to open the door under any circumstances and assured her the police were on their way. Upon arriving, the police found no evidence of a baby or any indication that a child had even been in the vicinity. They informed her they had received calls similar to this recently and believed that it was likely a ploy by individuals using a recording of a crying baby to trick women into opening their doors.
See, this is why I'm not a helpful person. And I would do the same thing. I would call the police before I would open the door. But that's I feel like a sign of our generation, really, because our parents would be like, don't be seen, don't be heard, nobody watched us. It was like, you go home, you lock the door, you close the blinds, you turn off the lights. If somebody comes knocking at the door, nobody's home. Even if you are, you aren't.
Even during the day, if it's like a sales guy, I'm not home. I'm
No,
not home, bro. My car's out there. I ain't answering that door.
no, I still live that life. I grew up that way, and that's one of the things I'm taking with me the rest of the way. I'm an adult, but I'm not.
Yeah. I will. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen like TikTok videos where like a crying woman is like coming to your door. Again, I would call the police right away, but I could definitely see myself being more inclined to like open the door for a visible child crying, not like a recording. But
Yeah. I think in these times you're not going to get those kinds of things because ring doorbells and whatnot, and surveillance like everywhere. Like a lot of people have it like dash cams on their cars and all of that. So I don't know. That's an older one, but I do feel like I remember hearing that in the 90s. There were a lot of urban legends in the 90s.
yeah, there were like you're gonna have razor blades in your chocolate, which had some. I think it was like one person had like a razor blade in their chocolate,
I
but it
yeah,
was like
I don't know. Like all like, oh, don't take candy from strangers. They might give you the edible candies. Okay, nobody's sharing their edible candies on purpose.
that's my favorite thing that every year police because my state it's like super illegal for marijuana. They always publish these like Facebook posts that talk about how people put marijuana in candy and give it out to kids. I'm like, who is doing this? Because I would love to have some. Who is doing this? Nobody. It's not a thing.
No,
Stop.
the only people I see putting marijuana in something to trick somebody else would be a kid. A kid tricking other kids. So don't give your marijuana to your children. Lock it up so you can keep it.
They also cry about how like similar these like edibles look to like real candy, and I get it. But have you seen like they have like orange soda alcoholic drinks that look like orange soda? Like, if you're gonna complain about marijuana, you have to complain about alcohol doing the same thing, like using packaging similar to non-alcoholic stuff. You can't have it both, you know, you can't hate one and be okay with the other one.
That reminds me when I was in high school and somebody that I knew had their medical card in California, and they had candy that looked a lot like normal candy, but it was like an edible. Um as somebody who's lived in a legal state for a long time now, I've never seen anything like that. I've seen like things of edibles but they're like clearly edibles. And the container like kind of has some sort of thing that childproofs it a little bit. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
that's weird to think about. Like I remember them having, like, they looked like Skittles, but they were edible Skittles. I've never seen anything like that in my adult life now that it's legal. And I mean, you don't have to have a medical card.
Yeah, I feel like it's because the things that when I again for the police that are listening, when I've gone to a state where it's legal and stayed in the state where it's legal and only consumed in that state, I've only seen like tin cans of like gummies, and it's clearly nothing like a gummy worm. It might look outside of the package like a gummy, but like if you're locking it up, it's not an issue. It's not an issue.
Yeah, yeah. Like I've seen uh little things of, like, they say wild. They look, you have to figure out how to open that container. I don't even know. Or the even the ones that are like in bags, they have like a thing to re-zip it, but it's also sealed at the end. And I worked at a dispensary for like a second after college, and we had to seal everything with like one of those like heated seal. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, like everything had to be basically like childproof.
Yeah, I don't know why. Just a bunch of weird conservatives being like, "Oh, this is be so awful for kids. They'll give it away." No one's giving away marijuana. Trust me, no one.
No,
I've tried.
who's rich enough in marijuana? They're just like, let me give it out like Santa Claus. Actually, I know somebody who works at a dispensary, and he is very much like that, but to people who are old enough.
So, from this crying baby, I pulled it's a pretty cool, like, multiple state thing called Cry Baby Bridge. So there's one in, Kentucky and one in Ohio. So the one in Kentucky is located between Oldham and Jefferson County, off Sleepy Hollow Road, which is pretty cool. Um, One legend from this bridge tells the tale of a mother driving home with her newborn baby late one night. As she crossed the bridge, she lost control of her car due to the jerking steering wheel and failing brakes. And that's just like bad luck. The car spun out of control, hit the bridge, and threw both the mother and baby through the windshield. Okay, hold on. If you're okay, I don't know how that works. The baby through the windshield. Was the baby in the front seat with you? Was it
And
not
no
in the car
cars.
seat? They go through. Okay. Despite the details, there's no evidence to support this ever actually occurred. But another legend claims that if drivers arrive at the bridge shortly before midnight, cover their car in, in baby powder, and return at midnight, they will hear a baby laugh. They will hear a baby laughing and thumping on their car. Upon exiting the car, they will find baby footprints covering it. And some people even report hearing the sounds of babies crying while inside their cars.
I don't think I want to meet that laughing baby.
This baby's like doing like body slams in your car.
Yeah, it reminds me of that dancingbaby.com or whatever that was early 2000s. I don't know. I really don't understand why the baby flew through the windshield. How come the mom's not included in this urban legend? Uh, I yeah, I've got a lot of problems with this one.
Some people think it's also a portal to a time warp because several people have claimed they've lost hours or even days driving over the bridge.
Okay,
So,
I hate that.
what if we go back in time to
I mean,
before?
yeah, but again, you can't control that. You don't know if you're going back in time, forward. You don't know what different timeline. It's just, that's a gamble.
You just go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and then eventually maybe you'll break it so you can, you know.
There was a really bad rainstorm when I had my son. like maybe like a month after or so. He was like a brand new baby. And my aunt and uncle were watching him, and I lived like 15 minutes away, and you had to go over a bridge to get there. And they were like, "Oh, this rainstorm's coming in and it's going to be really, really bad." And so I was like, "Okay, I got to go get the kid." So I went and picked him up, and I turned to go back to my house, and traffic was backed up so bad. I was stuck for 3 hours. It takes 15 minutes. I was stuck for 3 hours trying to cross this bridge, and everything was so flooded. They actually closed the bridge like 20 minutes after I crossed it, and water was so bad. I kept thinking, like, oh my God, what am I going to do if we get swept away in the river? I have to get this brand new baby out of the sea, figure out my way of like swimming out of the river with a brand new baby. Oh man, that's all I can think of when I hear this story. Was that was a really scary, and I could have been that urban legend.
You could have. What would
Well,
if that was
great.
about you? What would you do for the if you're part of this legend? What would be your trademark?
Well, I don't think it would actually.
Crying.
It'd be Gray. So yeah, he would cry.
Well, let's assume that you're also in this legend. It's a retelling because you are now involved.
I would he would cry, and people would get out of the vehicle to try to find the crying baby, and I would be a swamp monster basically, and I would like my arm would come out from under the bridge and grab their leg.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty sick.
you'd never even know I was coming.
See me, I'd just be you would hear crying, and you come out of your car, and it'd just be me like twerking on this other side of
It's just reminding me of that dancingbaby.com
the from afar. You're like, wait a minute, that guy's he's bald. Is it a big baby? is,
again.
that, is that a man
What's going on
twerking?
over here?
What's going? There's one other one, Cry Baby Bridge in Salem, Ohio.
Oh, you
It's a little
scared
bit
me for
different. Salem. There's like a million Salems in America. I had no idea there were so many.
I was like, too close to home, abandoned ship.
So like similar to the other one, around midnight, these sounds of a baby crying can be heard, and a lot of paranormal investigators have come to the bridge to investigate it. Um, some of them have reported saying, hearing someone saying, "Get out." Um, One popular legend originated in the 1930s, recounting a couple picnicking near the bridge who became embroiled in a heated argument. Their anger blinded them to a child walking on the bridge who tragically fell into the icy water below. The couple's fighting drowned out the child's cries for help, leading to their demise. Um, Another legend from this bridge tells of a woman shunned by her family for having a child out of wedlock. Desperate and starving, she came to the bridge to end her and her baby's suffering. Um, and for this one, a local historian suggests that the woman actually threw herself and her baby off the bridge. Um, so it sounds like there are there's some truth to this one as far as like someone actually dying here.
I hate that. I hate that. There's so many ways that you can give a child up if you can't care for them. Like, throw yourself off the bridge, whatever. But the baby? See, this is why you need access to reproductive health.
And the mental health meds that RFK wants to get rid of. Those
Hell
are
yeah.
important.
Those are very important.
Um, the last story I have for today is actually pretty cool. It's called The Gateway to Hell. It's the Stull Cemetery in Kansas. It's located in a rural town in Kansas and has gained a terrifying reputation over the years, becoming a well-known spot for paranormal enthusiasts and horror seekers. The cemetery is considered one of 7 of the 7 gateways to hell, which is a title given to a select number of locations rumored to be portals to the underworld. The most infamous aspect of Stoll Cemetery is the idea that the devil himself visits the site twice a year, on Halloween and during the spring equinox. According to the legend, these visits mark a dark time when the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, allowing forces to cross freely into our world. People claim to have experienced unsettling occurrences such as disembodied voices, eerie lights, and shadowy figures that appear without explanation. There is a legend involving the remnants of an old church that once stood in the cemetery. The church, which has long since been demolished, was rumored to be a hub for dark rituals, including witchcraft and satanic ceremonies. Visitors claimed that no matter how hard it rained, the church itself was always dry inside, a phenomenon that only fueled rumors of its supernatural power. Even after the church was torn down, strange occurrences continued to happen in the area, suggesting something malevolent stayed around. In addition to the ghostly figures, one of the most enduring parts of the cemetery is the tale of the child of Satan. According to stories, this demonic being, the offspring of a human mother and the devil, was secretly buried in the cemetery to keep its existence hidden. Some even claim that the child's spirit still roams the grounds. Many locals do dismiss these stories as mere urban legends, born from the minds of thrill seekers and urban explorers. Yeah, so there is that. But I realize I have a second part. It's actually in Pennsylvania. It's called the 7 Gates of Hell. There are 7 gates you can go through in this town in Pennsylvania, in Pelham Township, Pennsylvania. According to the myth, there are 7 gates scattered throughout the woods in a remote area. The legend suggests that if someone manages to pass through all 7 gates, they'll be transported directly to hell. It is said that each gate takes a person deeper into the supernatural realm, with each step being more dangerous than the last one. The journey, according to the myth, is impossible to complete, as those who attempt to pass through all 7 gates never return the same, or in some cases, never return at all. The journey begins with the first gate, which is supposedly located in a secluded wooded area, often described as Toad Road. It's said the gates are not visible during the day, but when night falls, they appear one by one. As you approach each gate, you might hear the sounds of whispers, disembodied voices, and strange noise. The first 2 gates are often seen as harmless, but as you approach later gates, things take a darker turn. Each gate reportedly gets more and more darker and more sinister. And the further you go, the more intense the feeling of being watched grows. The 7th and final gate is said to be the most terrifying of all, often depicted as an impenetrable doorway to the underworld. Those who supposedly reach this gate never return. Others believe that passing through the final gate might not just take your soul, it might drag you into the very flames of hell itself. There are variations of the myth that involve a mental asylum and a rather eccentric doctor. In one version, the gates are said to be built by the doctor or a mad scientist who was experimenting with the paranormal. Some believe that the gates were originally part of an asylum for the mentally ill, and the patients who were subjected to strange and inhumane experiments became the spirits that haunt the gates. As the legend goes, The doctor's experiments went horribly wrong, and the spirits of those tortured souls still linger, waiting to drag anyone foolish enough to venture too far into the woods. So, Seven Gates of Hell, Pennsylvania. I say we go through all 7.
Hard no.
See what happens.
I lived in Pennsylvania for a very short stint, and the woods there are scary. The Kansas one, that sounds so familiar. I could not think of why it sounds so familiar. Is that in Sabrina the Teenage, or Sabrina the newer one? I can't think what it's called.
That's an excellent question. I was thinking it might have been like in Supernatural, because whatever that cemetery is that guards the gate of hell.
Oh yeah. See, I was like, I've heard so much about the gates of hell, but I feel like there is some premise to a child that is like half devil, and yeah, the gates to hell.
So I don't see anything about it as far as Sabrina, but there is apparently a witch's grave in Stoll Cemetery.
All right,
So
I'm gonna
that's
see it.
pretty cool.
There's a witch's grave.
Yeah, if you Google Stoll Cemetery Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the first one from Reddit comes up. There's actually a few people have like posted Reddit posts about the cemetery. Dude, I want to find the gate to hell. Go down there, ask the devil, what the fuck did we do wrong?
Why is this hell? Yeah,
Or
I think the Chilling Adventures of
oh, is that
Sabrina.
what it is?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But on here it says spookiest cemetery, Stoll, Kansas City, and then there's some pictures from Supernatural, so I think it is in there too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because it says Supernatural Battle of Stoll Cemetery, so there's battle there. Probably can't remember it because there's too much that happens in every single episode.
That yeah, I mean, it's just so good. It's one of those shows where if you watch it, you're like, I can't not watch it. I can't not keep watching it because it's so good. And you
It's
don't
just
want to stop.
scary by myself.
We'll just have to. We'll have a viewing party. We'll have a viewing session, and we'll do an episode of watching an episode of Supernatural.
We have to start all over again with the rest of us.
Well, we can. Would you be opposed to this? So, are there any crossroads near where you live, like rural crossroads? Because we could do a crossroads devil deal, like bury a box with like all the stuff, and like have a demon come visit us and
Okay,
make a deal.
this is the question I have for you. What makes you think I'm better equipped for this than you are? That's what I want to know.
You live in. I'm gonna edit this out. So it's by nature. Anyone who lives in the state has experience with the super.
You live in, sounds real rural to me.
True, but I feel like if I do it out here, I'm gonna get shot. Everyone has guns out here.
Everybody has guns out here. That's my theory and story, and I'm sticking to it. Everybody has guns out here.
I'll get a crossroads deal one day with a
No,
demon.
I know there's a crossroads near me, and I was like, oh, a viewing party at the crossroads? That sounds interesting and terrifying. But I know the first place I would go if I had to.
We'll make a deal to get out of this timeline. I'm like, look, give us 50 years in a better timeline, and then you can have ours.
But what if better to the devil means something completely different than what better for you and me sounds like?
We're like, look, we want to live in a timeline where Donald Trump is not president, and we have universal health care.
And that he was never president, because
God never.
Damn, has it sucked since 2016.
You know what? I'll just make a deal to have him restore Harambe, like go back in time, undo that, and then we'll be in the right timeline by
And the
nature.
particle accelerator thing.
Like, shut both those down, bro.
I mean, because, yeah, or don't ever let them start it up. Whatever that thing about the weasel was. Save us.
Save us, Satan. Save us. But I really do want to, one day if I'm on the East Coast again, I'm going to visit this gateway to hell thing. Well, not the gateway, the gates of hell, the 7 gates.
But it's impossible. And it says it's
Impossible.
Pennsylvania and, like, Illinois.
It's only impossible because, like, people are not me. I would go through all 7 gates.
Well, I don't understand if it's in Pennsylvania and Illinois. Like, they're not next to each other.
I guess well, maybe in theory, if you go through the gates in Pennsylvania, you come out in, I think it's Kansas is where Stoll Cemetery is. You come out in Kansas. Bam.
Okay, you go first.
I will. You can wait at gate 1 and I'll go through all 7. I'll turn around, come back and get you. And then we can go back through 7.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, if you go through all 7 and you go into the past somehow, then leave a note for me. I'll find it. If you go through all 7 and you wind up in hell, see you never.
No, okay. So if that happens, if I end up in hell, you're supposed to find a crossroads, make a deal, get me out of hell, and they'll take you in 10 years.
But how am I supposed to know you're in hell? You didn't leave any notes. I just assume you're in a better timeline having a great life.
True. That's a very good point. I'll have to find a way. Maybe I'll find a demon in hell. I'm like, hey, pass a message.
You get to a different timeline, you're having a great life, and then I go to a crossroads and make you come back.
And then I make a deal with a demon. I'm like, put me back in my timeline.
And they're like, sorry, no take backs.
But I'll take your soul.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we have a plan. We have a plan for the future. We will get it done.
I'm a little confused what the plan is, but it's okay. I'll figure it out as I go.
The plan is go to hell and figure it out after.
Yeah, you're going to hell, but leave me a note if it takes you into the past, and I'll know if you change
Wait,
something.
hold on. I'll just bring walkie-talkie.
Will that work?
I'll get like 100-mile radius one. I'll get a really heavy duty one, so it like reaches.
You think that Kansas is 100 miles from Pennsylvania?
Well, no. this is if I'm in hell. Like, I feel like hell is probably like 100 miles away in some like measurement.
You think like 100 miles into the earth?
If it's down, no. But if it's like, if hell is like in our realm, but like in a different reality, like maybe that's like within 100 nautical miles.
You go to hell, and it turns out hell is just like Texas.
Like, you're here. Here you go. Welcome to hell.
And now you can't leave.
That's the plan. Sticking to it. Thank you everyone for sticking around, and cabbage sucks, and we will see you guys next week.
Cabbage is the best. Bye.